I'm going to show you a website that for me is problematic.
Okay, I'll just click the X.
Okay. For me, because of my cognitive issues, when I look at this on my computer screen, it is just one blob of text. It is so busy, it takes me 5 minutes, or a couple of minutes at least, to look at that, sort that out, and say, where do I find this? And it's you know, one of the things about the computer age, seconds mount up to minutes, minutes mount up to hours, and hours mount up to days and months and years before you know it. And so when you're on a computer, you realize that when you have this lag time, you're creating this time span of wasted time for yourself.
It's true.
And in this particular case, and there are many others.
So could you do me a favor before you leave there?
Yeah.
Press Control plus key twice.
It will do it. It does it. It
Yeah.
does it. All websites do that now.
Okay.
And that does what?
Well, that zooms in, but
Well, he
it
doesn't care about the reading Zoom. He's just too busy on the too much information on one little thing.
You know, it's just because of a cognitive issue that I have. It takes me a couple of minutes just to sort it out and realize that there are columns here that I can follow, and then I begin to coordinate it. Then I begin to sort it out. I'm not saying that the 2 minutes of that day is problematic, but when I go to a website like this is what it times that the number of people that we provide services to or that are in the community who have cognitive issues. This is problematic. Now,
Let me just throw in something there. People with learning disabilities or attention deficit disorder, a lot of times, if there's just too much overload, it's like a matter of where do I start and how do I sort this all out.
Sure.
And also people with intellectual disabilities, it's overwhelming if it's not like straightforward, how do I enter, how do I approach this, how do I get a handle on all this information here. So there are many of those kind of aspects that because we are cross-disability, that we have to consider, and I think that's why Fred chose us as an example, just to show that this one is tending toward being problematic for various disabilities.
yeah, just not cognitive, but a wide range of disabilities. Now, I will admit to the fact that I went on to NCTech4Good website and looked at their sponsors there, and one of them is WUNC Radio 91.5, which is now in its fundraising mode right now, as you all know. And so I chose that. I chose it as a website to look at because it is clean. It's visually accessible to me. I get it right away. Of course, this is just a one kind of, and this is different than it was the other day.
Can you explain when you're looking at that, what you see that makes it clean and accessible and easy to sort?
There's, sure, good question. When I first brought this up, which was right now, I haven't seen this, it changed since the other day. I looked at the hoodie and saw that, and moved right to the left of it, and I got it right away. This is information, and it's you know, I'm associated with the hoodie mentally,
Right.
and then I'm reading it and realize at the time that I told about this is information about the fundraising probably. Now as I read it, you know, look at it and so forth, it is about the fund drive because you always give a hoodie or you know things away. Now as far as going down further, now see it gets busier for me. But one of the things about it is that it's 3 columns. I'm identifying these 3 columns as my point of orientation so that I can move up, because above it, it looks like a banner to me. That's how I interpret it immediately until I look at it and say, oh, okay, it's kind of a 3-column thing too. This is a process that's going through our brain, you know, like we do. And so I'm able to sort it out pretty quickly, and I feel comfortable with the website and gathering information and being able to share it because it's logical, it's reasonable to my way of thinking. And when somebody asks me about it, I can pretty much tell them what's going on.
How does a screen reader deal with RAL's page and even the multiple columns, is it reading everything out loud?
Yes, yes. A screen reader,
Let me throw something
Yeah.
in there too, because when you say multiple columns, sometimes that is really problematic for screen readers.
Exactly.
It just depends on how it's set up, because sometimes the screen readers will handle a columnized screen really well, and sometimes it won't, and when it doesn't, it'll read all the same line all the way across all the columns, and then go back and do the same thing, and so essentially, you can't get any meaning out of it. You have to really be careful when you do columns and how you set it up, and I would imagine since you said that you worked on accessibility, you probably dealt with that issue.
Yeah, I mean, you should have individual kind of tags, div tags and everything that'll separate everything out. So really what should happen is that it should read it in order, like the HTML file in order, so you'd have different sections. So it would read, you'd be able to tab across the navigation right now, and you'd see there'd be a drop-down area, and you'd read the main part, and then it should go to the, you know, left to right. It should read that, you know, whatever it is on the page. So if it's set up, but
Actually, you
usually a
use
lot of
headings.
content,
You use headings to
right,
go,
to
and the
demarcate.
screen reader will go from heading 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you navigate it. It's a very easy component, and that's a very basic.
So you drill down based on the heading tag?
Yes, heading tags are, screen readers identify the heading tags, and you're tabbing heading tags. So people who have cognitive issues can
Yeah.
also tab through heading tags.
Mhm.
So these are issues that can be very easily resolved, and these are actually required design issues. Okay? You use heading tags and you use some of the other tools with the div tags and things like that to help navigate so the person can move, and how you capitalize the heading tag so they can go through and identify sections. So you use
I imagine home pages are often the most difficult because that's where you have, like, you know, people are like, I want everything on my home page. So that turns into a nightmare for trying to get through everything on your home page. But as you drill down into like even secondary pages, a lot of times it's just going to be header text, maybe a
No, but you can do
sidebar or
that on the home
something.
page too.
Right, but so, yeah, you wanna make it so that it's, I think visually, and I think what his argument is, it's like, you prefer something that's visually simpler and pleasing, as opposed to like, everything on the whole
Everything.
page. Right, so.
because as you
If
can
put
imagine,
everything on
and
there, then nothing's more important than
Yeah,
anything else.
this is crazy, and it's got a also flash screen.
Yeah.
yeah,
That'd be more
It's
crazy.
it's a news website, but I'm with you, I mean, even me,
Yeah.
I go to this page and I'm like, where is what I, weather?
yeah,
That's not
I get the
exactly
website
what
here
that-
as to why it is the way it is, but this is the effect. But I like to modify my statement in terms of people who use screen readers. People who are illiterate also can use a screen reader to read the web and so forth. And if they have full vision, then they can point and click and so forth. But if you're using a screen reader and you're a person who has low vision or is blind, you can imagine what it takes to tab through all this just to get down to this story here.
Sure.
I mean, you have to tab. Now you talk about minutes, hours, days. A person who uses a screen reader uses an enormous amount of time just to try to navigate a website. And it's the same way with everything that a person who uses a screen reader does that is either blind or has low vision. So email's the same way. You get a person who uses a screen reader that opens up an email where it's reply to all, and you have 80 people that's been sent to it, and it's in two. That screen reader has to read through all of that list of people it's going to before it even gets close to the text of the email. You do it sometime. I have. I've had the opportunity to use it. My point is that it can become laborious, and we want to reduce that to the minimum and not be laborious but accessible. And so WRAL is the news. They're trying to get it out there. They just throw it at you. They have no other choice. It's just the way it is. But
Question,
They pretty much had that design for a good 10 years.
At least.
I do have a question.
Aching for.
sure.
Screen readers,